In this video, we will discuss the effects of stress on the human brain and cognitive functions. Anything that put you in a difficult situation or anything that triggers the body to adjust or react physically, mentally, or emotionally, is stress. Stress is a common part of our daily lives. Stress can be short-term, acute, or long-term, chronic. Acute stress enhances cognitive function. It increases motivation, enhances focus and performance to achieve goals. Stress is detrimental to the whole body, including the brain, when it becomes chronic or persistent. Don't forget, in this video, we are focusing on how chronic stress affects the brain and its manifestation in our lives. Studies show that chronic or excessive stress has a grievous impact on the human nervous system, causing structural changes in different parts of the brain. When a person experiences stress, the body's fight-or-flight response is triggered, leading to the release of stress hormones, such as cortisol and adrenaline. Cortisol is released from the anterior pituitary gland of the brain during stress to help the body adjust or react to internal or external stressors. Cortisol also plays a significant role in regulating metabolism, inflammatory response, and immune function. Adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, is also a hormone secreted by the adrenal glands during stressful situations, to equip the body to fight or flight by dilating the eyes to see clearly, and the airway to increase oxygen flow to the lungs and the blood to supply enough oxygen to the major organs of the body like the heart, the brain, and the muscle to function properly during threatening situations. These hormones are the body's survival mechanism to deal with perceived threats. However, prolonged activation of the stress response can have detrimental effects on the whole body, including the brain, particularly the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. Remember, we are focusing on how chronic stress affects the brain. We will discuss how chronic stress affects the whole body in another video. The hippocampus works in connection with other parts of the brain to perform its functions properly. Stress-induced damage to the hippocampus will result in the impairment of the hippocampal functions. You will begin to have problems with memory formation and recall of memory. You will have problem regulating your emotions, an inability to perform spatial navigations. For those who may not understand spatial navigation, it simply means that the hippocampus of the brain helps us to form cognitive maps of our environment, enabling us to remember locations, landmarks, and routes. It also helps us to remember events or experiences associated with a particular time and place, or to be able to perform mental navigations to remember the locations of objects. However, stress-induced damage to the hippocampus will cause us to lose the ability to perform these spatial functions. Now, the prefrontal cortex is the frontal part of the brain responsible for higher-order thinking, decision-making, social behavior, and personality expression. Stress-induced damage to the prefrontal cortex will cause emotional dysregulation, leading to increased irritability, impaired social behavior, and difficulty managing emotions. You will have problems with planning, organizing, problem-solving, goal-setting, and decision-making. You may no longer be able to think critically, make judgments, and strategize to achieve goals and objectives. You may not be able to regulate your attention and focus, or control your impulses. Stress-induced damage to the prefrontal cortex will cause your inability to perform these functional skills effectively. In summary, chronic stress increases constant release of stress hormones that causes stress-induced atrophy of the hippocampus. It causes structural changes or remodeling of the neural circuits of the brain, especially reducing the connectivity between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. Prolonged exposure to stress hormones can desensitize the brain's stress response system, causing dysregulation of the stress response system, leading to the inability to cope with stress, and the development of anxiety, depression, addiction, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and impaired social behavior, and difficulty managing emotions. Additionally, chronic stress causes impaired cognitive functions, such as problems in decision-making, planning, learning, and performing all memory functions. Studies show that stress effect on the brain is related to the development of dementia, and can also worsen the symptoms and progression of Alzheimer's disease. Stress is part of life. However, it is crucial to manage stress effectively to prevent its detrimental effects on our brains. You can watch a full video on how to effectively manage stress on our page. Thanks for watching.